Oh gosh, I'm gonna have you say it again because I have to send my brothers that people like working with me, that they're excited to spend time with me. They won't believe it because, you know, I'm the bossy older sister to them.
I'll start it with this. We love Karen, and that's why we did this series today.
Exactly.
Thank you for filling my bucket. That is going directly to my little brothers. You guys, I love the titles of the books that you put over in the chat box. That is excellent. We're all going to write those down. Chris Carpenter, that is a book I've not read yet, but it is on my pile. Was it worth reading? Yeah. Okay, totally worth reading. Okay, there you go. One of my favorite books, there are many, but one of my favorite books is It Takes a Team, which is the story about Tough Mudder, which is so incredibly exciting. So that would be my little tip this morning. It takes a team. You guys, we are, as Kayla said, going to have a conversation. This is not a lecture series. This is a conversation. So if you want to say something, you raise your hand and we will talk to you. We really will do a better job if we are women having coffee this morning or having tea, or if you're so inclined, you could be having whiskey. I don't need to know that at this hour, but we are just having a conversation. The goal is that at the end of this 9-week series, we really will know one another, and we really will know one another's businesses, and we'll be able to support each other and to have incredible success. So I'm going to tell you that I'm, as you know, Karen Gross. I own Canvas Creek Team Building and Coaching. I coach entrepreneurs. I coach companies as big as Walmart with my team building, and as small as Matt the Painter. He also did some crazy team painting with me. It was incredibly awesome. And I love to help people figure out who they want to be. I like to use my amazing, well, I say it's amazing, it's always, I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I so upbeat? Because the world is crazy, but I was just given this gift of upbeat, positive attitude. And I love to use that to help drive others forward. So I'm going to give you lots of tips as we go through. We have several other people that you're going to learn from both today and in the series. But this morning, I'm going to have Lorene pop in and tell us who she is and what she does. What is your profession and why are you here this morning, Lorene?
Hi, I'm Lorene Hines. I'm the Regional Small Business Development Center Director in Billings. And I love working with small businesses. I was a business owner myself, and I just know some of the struggles that people go through. And so a lot of times when we have people come to us, they are looking for money, looking for a loan, or wanting to refinance, or wanting to expand. And so we help them with business planning. We help them with their cash flow projections. We give them some marketing data, and we can just help them get their loan package ready. But really, we just love working with other people and with other small businesses.
Excellent. Thank you for explaining that to us. I send people to you all the time. Kayla, who are you and what do you do?
Well, hi, I'm Kayla Vokrol, and I am a small business advisor here at the SBDC and Big Sky Economic Development. A little bit of what I do is I help with, I like to say, everywhere from your idea stage of your business all the way to your selling your business. So, and anywhere in between. Some of that looks like financial projections, business plans, market research, training, one-on-one counseling. So that's just kind of a little bit of what my everyday looks like.
And you have done an excellent job on this series, you guys. If you like what happens with this, it's because Kayla just polished it all up and did great stuff. So thank you for helping with that. We started this series just because I heard a report on NPR that 800,000 women left the workforce in October. And most of them left the workforce not because they were pushed out, but because they were overwhelmed with trying to figure out how to keep their families safe, how to feed them, how to commute, how to run life in the pandemic. And so many women were like, okay, I'm out. I'm going to do something new and something different. And so I heard that report right before I saw Lorene for a short little meeting. And I said, you know, we should have a women's entrepreneur series. So here we are. That's what we're doing, trying to help you and, you know, maybe 800,000 other people figure out how to start a business in a crazy time. So we have two speakers with us this morning that are solid business people, and they have amazing stories. Right now, they're going to just introduce themselves to you, and we're going to hear more from them as we go on. So Chris Carpenter, tell us a couple of things: who you are, what you do, and why you do it. Tell us that.
Well, my name's Chris Carpenter, and I have a couple of businesses, but today I'm here focusing on my retail business, The Joy of Living, which is a gift store that I opened really as a gift store for women. Both of my businesses are very female focused, and I love taking care of women. So it's kind of the whole thing. My business is here to serve the problem of, I don't have time. I need to get a gift. I want something. I just want to go read some fun cards. And I always say it's about buying a gift, and it can be a gift for someone else or a love me gift is what I call when we gift ourselves things. So, it's just been an interesting adventure doing it, but I really found that there was something I felt missing in the community that met that need. And it was something that for me, I love gift wrapping and I love giving gifts. So what better, just open a store and you get to do more of what you love. So that's kind of my philosophy on it.
Oh my gosh, Chris, you hit on so many amazing things there, especially the Love Me gifts, because I always spend a lot in your store, but the Love Me gift is usually the most expensive. I love that. I love that you said that you like to wrap gifts and you like to give gifts, and that's why you started this business. And I think sometimes we forget that if we really lean into what we love to do, it can be a business, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think if you don't love it, you should think once, twice, 30 times about doing it, because it's like when it gets hard, it's that love that pulls you through why you do it. And just recently I had someone who had to quit suddenly. And so I've been working in the store more than I usually do. And it's like, it has been such a gift for me again to be in there and be with the customers and to realize, how I can serve them. And, my business is really to serve me and to serve them. It gives me life and it gives me freedom. But when they come in and I get to help them solve their some people are struggle with a gift or struggle with, what's happening. But for me, it's just like so much fun. And I just listen to people in the store, and when they're reading funny cards and they're laughing, I'm like, that's a success for me. It's just, making people's lives better. But I believe no matter what kind of business it is, the basis is really, you've got to just love what you do, because it'll just continue to feed you, financially, and, why we do what we do.
So that is the first thing that I hope you guys wrote down. It looked like several of you did. Write down, if you don't love it, don't do it. It's just such an amazing little nugget. You have to love what you're doing. If you don't love it, that's why a lot of times people come to me and they're like, I don't love my business anymore. And we change it up until they do start to love it. But you have to start your business for you. And we'll talk some more about that as we go on. Then, and we're going to hear a lot from Chris. From 10:30 to 11 is a bonus session. And we're just going to talk about retail business during that. And so we're going to go really in depth with Chris during that bonus session, as well as both Kayla and Lorraine, because they've got some history you're going to want to hear about. So right now we're going to hear from our next speaker today, and that's Robin. So tell us who you are, what you do, and why you're doing it, Robin.
Great. So my name's Robin Morgan, and I bought Robin's Nest Photography almost 3 years ago. And then in March, I took over the camera cottage, and so now have the camera store. And, oh, go ahead.
Well, and so tell us, why are you doing this? Why do you do that?
That's what I wrote down, love what you do. And when I first was trying to figure out what to do, and I came over here actually just to apply for a job, but we can talk about that later. But I did this because I love photography, and every day it's like a new challenge, and I get to do what I love to do. And so that's why I chose this, because I wanted to kind of pursue my passion.
Oh my gosh, you guys are going to hear more about Robin's story in a little while, but I love that you decided to pursue your passion. So again, that is a nugget I want you to take away, that you need to pursue a passion. It can't be what your mom suggests that you do. It can't be what your husband wants you to do. It needs to be what you want to do for you. Now, some of their advice might come into it. They might say, oh my gosh, you are really good at sales. You should go into real estate, and you can take that advice. But if you are going to start a business, and if you are going to put the hours into being an entrepreneur, it really does need to be a passion that you have. And it really does need to be something that you want to get out of bed in the morning to do. So we're going to talk just a little bit about that type of thing. I'm going to have you do a very basic goal setting here in a few minutes. And I'll tell you that we're going to do that a couple of times in this series. And the very last section of the series is a really in-depth goal setting that we'll do, something that I've done with thousands of people. So today we'll hit that kind of on the surface. As you are getting ready to start your business or refresh your business, I want you to know that as much as you love it and all of the passion that you have, it's also okay to be scared. There is a little bit of what if I fail? And there also is a little bit of what if I'm successful and my whole life blows up and I have to figure out, how to handle too many orders. And that's normal to have fear around both of those. The most important thing I think to remember when you are first starting or you're first refreshing is that there is somebody right now who is praying for the solution that you offer. I'm going to talk about Robin's business just a little bit. She does photography, and a lot of her clients are schools. And when the schools decided that they needed a new contractor to take school photos, that was a scary moment. And there was a PTA president, and there was a principal, and there was an administrator all on their knees saying, oh my gosh, can we please find somebody who is going to do this really well for us? And there are days where you have to buy a gift for somebody. Maybe it's your mother-in-law and you're like, I don't know what to buy that woman. It's okay to say that. I'm a great mother-in-law, and most of them are, but there's a few that it'd be nice to see their picture on the side of a milk carton because they're missing, right? So if you have to buy that gift and you don't know what to do, you're praying, oh my gosh, what am I going to get them? How can I show them how important they are? And that's when you pop into Joy of Living. You are praying for that solution that they offer. So I want you to write that down and hold that in your hearts, that somebody is right now praying for the solution that you offer. No matter what that solution is, it is a big world and there are a lot of people, and somebody needs you right now. The other thing that I want you to know as you get ready to start your business is that this gets to be your own very best story. So I want you to stop for a moment and forget everything that you've gone through this morning to get to this spot and just feel where your feet are. Just be where your feet are right now, which is such a powerful thing to do when you get stressed. Just be where your feet are. And I want you to just think for a moment about a person that impressed you when you were a child or when you were thinking about starting a business. I want you to think about that person and think, what impressed you about them? What did they have that you thought, I want that? Now, I'll tell you that part of my story is that when I was a little girl, I saw a woman who was a big brunette woman, and she was fully in charge of the insurance agency that she ran. She had beautiful clothes. Her hair was done perfectly. She had great jewelry. She drove a great car. She was living a lifestyle that was so different than mine. But as a young lady, I was about 13 years old, I thought, that's who I want to be. And one day I looked in the mirror back when I was still dyeing my hair and thought, oh my gosh, I became that woman. And I don't know her story. I don't know what her family life was like, but I knew that I put that out there, that I wanted to be a successful businesswoman. I wanted to have nice clothes, nice jewelry, nice car. And I achieved it because that's who I wanted to be. So I want you to write down who you want to be. Who is that person that impressed you? You're like, dang, that is what I'm going for. That's kind of my ideal. And you're writing that down because when you write down who you want to be, it happens. And so we're going to go just a little bit deeper in this. I want you to think about the refresh that you're doing, the business that you're starting, and who do you want to become because of it? Do you want to become more confident? Do you want to become self-sufficient financially? Do you want to become respected in the community? Do you just want to say, like one of my favorite clients right now keeps saying, this is mine. This is the only thing I've ever had that's mine. And she makes decisions around her business for her and for what she wants it to look like. So write down what you want your business to look like. Do you want it to look successful? Do you want it to look fun, like Joy of Living looks? Do you want it to look really, really professional? Do you want it to look like anybody can do it? When I was in direct sales, that was incredibly powerful, was not looking too perfect so that people are like, oh my God, if she can do it, anybody can do it. And that's kind of what my business is like now. If I can run a business, you by darn can run a business. So write down what you want to look like, what you want your business to look like, who do you want to be? And you absolutely are going to become that. You get to start today in figuring that out, figuring out where you're going and what that looks like. So I love that Teresa said that she wants to be duplicatable and replicatable for sure. So Teresa, pop on real fast, go off mute, and we want to know what you're doing. So Teresa, pop off mute, and we want to know just a little bit more about you.
My camera is down at the bottom of my screen, so can't look at what I'm doing. I'm just signed up with 31 a few weeks ago. I already made the first qualification I didn't even know existed. So I'm really excited. 31 sells totes and organizing things. And I'm just like putting all the tools in place to make it work with the online marketing nowadays, which is what we have. So I don't even have a physical store. Mine's mostly a virtual business, and it's actually thriving. So I'm excited. And I'm also new in Great Falls. I've only moved to Montana last year. So there's a lot I need to learn about the area, the connections. I need friends. I need customers. I need the works.
Excellent. Well, we're actually going to spend a lot of time talking about direct sales. I believe it's the 14th, and Kayla will probably put in there. We have a bonus section that is going to be about real estate and direct sales. Part of my backstory, Teresa, is that I made a ton of money and grew the very most in direct sales. That's where I learned to be a leader. That's where I learned how to really seriously run a business and to be duplicatable. So you're absolutely in the right place at the right time. And we'll give you more tips as we go along. But I'm just going to cheer you for being brave enough to try something new. That is really cool. So Robin, I'm going to ask you to come on now and tell us your story. Go big on this. Tell us your backstory. Tell us where you are right now. Give us not just the beauty of it, but give us kind of this was a crap day. Tell us that story too.
You're ready for all the ugly?
I'm ready. Yeah, you guys, because being a business owner isn't always beautiful. I'm just going to tell you. So Robin's got some parts of the story that aren't beautiful. So tell us the good and the bad.
Okay, so we'll try to just keep it in a nutshell, basically. But I was married for 18 years. I was a stay-at-home mom. I homeschooled my kids, and I was involved in a lot of co-ops and volunteer organizations and just like doing the cool stay-at-home mom thing. And my husband told me that he wanted a divorce. And so I did not see that coming. And we tried some counseling, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work. So I moved out in December, and I actually came over to Tony Smith Photography just to apply for a job because I was doing photography really part-time. But I loved it. I loved what I was doing. I couldn't believe some of the pictures I was getting and how happy that people were. And they would say, oh my gosh, do you have a business card? And I was like, yes. And I went to Vistaprint or Alpha Print or whatever, and I had some business cards made, and it just started to happen before I had moved out. So I moved out, came over here, applied for the job. They said, no, we're not hiring, but we are trying to sell our business and retire. And I said, oh, I can't buy a business. I just moved out of my house. I had like $500, you know, like this is not, but thanks anyway. So I thought about it, prayed about it, talked to some people about it, but it seemed impossible. I mean, how am I going to buy a big, beautiful business when I have nothing? Basically, I live in my friend's basement. I didn't even have a kitchen. So I talked to another friend, and I actually got a Women in Business grant for almost my full down payment. My mom lent me the rest of the money for my closing cost, my other part of my down payment. And Tony and Donna did a contract for deed and carried my loan. So this all happened so fast. I moved out in December, came over here in January, signed papers in February, moved in the end of March. And it was actually April 1st. It was Easter that year, 2018. And it was like new life, new beginning. You know, it was just so, everything just fell into place exactly the way it was supposed to. But there were days when I would be on this floor just crying my eyes out, and like I would have to lock the door because I could not see anyone. I couldn't face anyone because I was so broken up about my marriage. And for a long time, honestly, I felt like I was just being dragged along. And I was like, okay, if this is what's supposed to happen. But my business kept me, it like kept me going. It kept me, it gave me something to focus on. It gave me something to work towards. And then it started to give me the most satisfaction I've ever felt in my life. When I would have a great session or get a new client or take a picture that was like, I nailed it. I nailed it. I have never felt that kind of like, yes, I did this. I never felt that satisfaction my whole life. This is also the first thing I've ever owned on my own. I've never even owned a car on my own. This is the first thing I've ever owned by myself. I love to make my own rules. I'm kind of a really terrible employee. I never had a job for more than like probably a year at a time. But this is like, it's so satisfying. It's so, it allows me to, like you said, Karen, you know, do things the way that I want them to be done. And I get to choose how I appear to the world. And I want to appear respectable, professional. You know, this gives me a reason every day to get up, put on my makeup, put on my jewelry, put on my pantyhose, and get it done. And I just didn't have that before. You know, we lived on a farm. We had a tractor. It was awesome. I miss my tractor. I miss my dirt road. I miss just throwing my boots on and going out to change the water. I really do. I love that life. But I don't get to have that life anymore. So instead of being sad and drinking all day, every day, I just made a decision that I'm going to do whatever it takes to make this work. And really, it was just determination. It was just sheer pissed offness and determination that kept me going. And I really decided I'll do whatever it takes. And I've had to clean a few houses. For a while, I had to wait tables. You know, a couple summers ago, I had to sell furniture to pay my power bill, and I thought I was going to have to sell my business. Which there's an apartment upstairs where I live. So if I go out of business, I have to move. So it just has been determination, you know.
Oh my gosh, Robin, I cry every time I hear your story because there's so much pain, but there's so much beauty in it. So you guys, this is your opportunity to talk to Robin. Tell her, I see some of you in chat have said good job, but this is where you get to tell her good job. You also get to ask her questions like, how did you get started? Whatever you want to know about your business, ask Robin because she knows. So who's first? Who wants to talk with her?
I would like to talk to Robin.
Go ahead.
I'm not sure how to raise my hand, but
okay.
Robin, I really applaud. It seems like the best things when we're moving forward in life seem to happen at some of the moments that break us down.
Yeah.
And it really, I think, shows definement in your character that through this process, you put your faith in God, you prayed about it, you really took and looked at the options and knew that it wasn't a sure thing, but you bet on yourself. And a lot of times when we are going through that fearful stuff, we're unsure of who we are. But I really feel that the steps that you took, although scary, now have made you a more secure, sure of yourself person that no matter what you do, fail or succeed, you have been a success and are a success no matter what, because you tried it. And I'm just so proud of you for finding the courage in the brave heart within you to just move forward. That is a huge step in your personal walk, and to have a life that you love and to step outside of that and have to start over. a lot of us have to make those daily decisions, and they don't come with an option on there. So kudos to you. I just, your strength really will show through your work, because when you are doing what you love, it can't help but ooze through and people notice. So keep doing what you're doing, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's true. I really do give all the credit to God. I did not, it was having faith, and it was trusting that, okay, that it's not about a man. And I really felt after a while, December was 3 years away from that relationship, that I realized that it was never about a man, that this is about, like you said, my walk, my life, my relationship with God, my relationship with my kids. And this year, I feel like my relationship with myself, I'm finally starting to say, you know what? You are good. You are worthy. You are important. You are valuable. And I'm doing things to take care of myself. And I went to a goal setting, a networking meeting where we did some goal setting. And it was the first time, that was last month, it was the first time I was able to actually set some goals and say, yes, I want to earn this much money. I want to be able to take my kids to Disneyland if I want, if I want to do that, or wherever we go. I don't want to always tell my kids no because we don't have the money. I'm not just surviving. I'm to the point now where I want to thrive, and I'm so grateful just to be at that point. Like, it doesn't come right away. It takes time, and sometimes a lot of time and patience.
May I
yeah,
ask how old your kids are? May I ask how old your kids are?
They're 20 and 14. So my daughter's a little bit older, but one of the reasons too why this was such a huge blessing is because of the apartment upstairs. My daughter was a senior in high school when I moved out, and so I wanted to finish homeschooling like her last year. I did not want to just throw her in public school her very last year, because we had worked so hard. She was doing some college classes and really involved in the homeschool community. And so I just was not ready to, it felt like throwing her to the wolves. So having the apartment upstairs where I could come down here and work, edit, do the business stuff, and still be homeschooling. Now my 14-year-old son is in school. But he's able to go to private school, and I'm able to help pay for that. And that also makes my heart so happy that I can do that on my own without a husband.
I can't imagine. I know our business is just about 3 years for us too, but I had a business partner, strong business partner. And so when you were talking about how you did it alone, the first thing that you did, I remember when Lisa and I first talked, and one of the things she said is, I can't do it without you. And I'm like, well, I sure in the heck don't want to do it without you. So I definitely remember that scary time. And so I can't even imagine trying just on my own, but certainly my hat's off to you. And I'm glad for your family.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for sharing with Robin. Anybody else that wants to ask Robin a question about being in business or how she's managing this?
Yes. Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, so Robin, you're in Billings, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, you probably have more business than you know what to do with already, but as an online business, I need training in how to do photography and lives and things. So that might be a cool side gig for you if you needed to expand, you wanted to make some virtual offerings or classes, because I know there's a lot of us that are struggling for how to get your technology right, how to take good product pictures, all those stupid things. But I bet with your photography business, you already know this, and I'd love to chat with you offline about this maybe later.
Yeah, that would be great. And it's funny because since I very first started, people would come in and say, oh, do you give classes? And I never felt like I was I didn't know anything, like I am not qualified to teach anybody anything. And now that I'm more comfortable where I'm at, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I am going to give classes, and here's how you can sign up and stuff like that. So yeah, I would love to chat with you more about that. And
Okay, let's connect afterward. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
I love you guys, first off, that we're making connections here. That's perfect. And that you can take ideas into your business and your business can change. I know when I first started Canvas Creek, my intent was to work only with big teams and corporate leadership groups, because that's where I had been and that's how my brain worked. And one day when a family asked if they could do collaborative art with me, I was like, well, that is just stupid. No, you cannot. But I heard them and I listened to them in a different way. And I thought, okay, what if you did do collaborative art as a family? And when I watched them do that, I realized how incredibly powerful it was and what it could mean to people. And so in that moment, I shifted and changed my business so that 50% of my business came from families working together and healing together and having fun together. And 50% came from corporate. And now, as we come out of the pandemic, I'll be launching a course to teach people how to do what I do all across the nation. And so I tell you this so that you know that your business, you have an idea right now and you think it's going to look just like this, and it might, but it also might change. And so be open to those changes. When you get so married to your idea that this is what it's going to be and it can only look like this, it can only be in this box, that's when it becomes really, really hard to run your business. So we titled this that you work for a real nut, but at least you're self-employed. And I want you to know that you are going to make yourself crazy as you go through this process. There are going to be moments where you take on too much, you worry about crazy things. You are going to be the meanest boss you ever had. You're also going to be the nicest boss you ever had. You are going to give yourself days off when you really should have worked. And so I want you to take just a couple of minutes here, and we're going to move into a goal setting, just a little bit of goal setting, and we'll come out of that and talk with Kayla and Lorene about what you're worried about, what you're excited about, and they're going to give us tips for how they can help. But as we get ready to do that goal setting, I want you to hear again a couple of things that Robin said. The first one was that she said yes. It is so important as a woman to say yes to yourself. Actually, it's important it's important for men too, but when you are starting a business, it's scary. And there's a lot of things in the world that say, no, you should not do this. And you have to just push that aside and you have to say yes to yourself. So on your piece of paper there, it's what are you saying yes to? Are you saying yes to being self-sufficient? Are you saying yes to trying the next thing? Are you saying yes to helping the world? What are you saying yes to for yourself? So write that down. And then the next thing that Robin said that I wrote down in circles because I say this all of the time. And that is that when you finally say yes, the universe will catch you. As soon as you step off the cliff and you say, this is what I'm going to do, you will be sent the people, you will be sent the products, the solutions, everything will happen as soon as you say yes and you step off that cliff. And oh my gosh, it is so scary to do that. But I promise you that when you say, I'm going forward and this is what I want it to look like, it is going to happen for you. And Robin is shaking her head yes. All you have to do is say yes, and you have to mean it. It can't be a, yes, I'm going. It has to be a, I am going. Yes, I am going to do it. And the universe will catch you. The other thing that Robin said that I hope you guys all get to say is, I did this. I did this. I built this. I offered the solution. I became this person. I did this. Whatever it is you are building, I want you to be able to say, I did this. So let's talk about what you want to do. You have a business that you want to start or you want to refresh. And there are 1,000 goals that you could set around that. But I want you to think about the very most important thing you need to do. Is it to become more profitable? Is it to get your name out there? Is it to change the world with your gizmo? What is the very most important thing that you're trying to do right now? And so let's write that down. For me, it is, I don't want to scare you with this number, but my goal is in the next 5 years to earn 3.3 million from online sales. So I've had to totally shift my business to be able to do that. But every day I ask myself, what do I want to do to make online sales happen? So write down your goal, no matter how big it is. What do you want to do for real in your business? And then I want you to write down who you're doing your business for. Chris is doing hers to help women, to give them a place where they can shop and to take care of women. I do my business to help people who want to move forward, figure out how to do that together. So who are you doing your business for? And we can go way down the path of what your avatar looks like. We're not going to do that today, but I want you to know I'm talking to 45 to 60-year-old women or 20 to 30-year-old men, whoever you're doing this for, write that down. And then I want you to write down when you want to achieve that goal. So I know that in 5 years, actually it's 3 years is my goal for 3.3 million, but I've also given myself grace, which I don't always let my clients do. But in 3 years, I want to have $3.3 million sitting in a special bank account that's already been started, that's all from online sales. So when do you want to achieve your goal? Is it by Thursday? Is it by the end of the year? Is it in 3 years? When are you going to achieve the goal that you're looking at right now? And then I'm going to ask you a really big question, and that is, why is that your goal? Now, this why is not just because I need money or people need my gizmo. It's what's going to get you out of bed in the morning. When Robin was laying on the floor sobbing, she had a why for why she was going to get up and do that next session. And so the why might be so I can feed the kids. It might be so I can retire. It might be so you can buy your mom a house. But write down your why, and there should be 10 to 12 of these. Why are you going for that goal? Okay, so the next one is, how are you going to get it? What is everything that needs to happen in your life and in your business to make that possible? And again, this is a big list, and you'll work more on this after we get off of the session today, but how are you going to get it? When you're in direct sales like Teresa, you have to know how many phone calls you're going to meet or make, how many meetings you're going to go to meet people. What are all of the hows that go into this? Who do you need to meet to make it happen? So write down 10 things that you need to do, 10 hows to make your goal happen. These hows should feel like work, and I hope a couple of them are kind of fun. So I want you to look at those things, both the why you're doing this and the how you're doing this, and circle the one or the ones that scare you, the ones that you're like, oh man, I don't know if I know how to do that. Or the ones that you know need done, but you're scared that it's going to change your life because you do it. And then right beside the one that you circled or in the margin or wherever your note paper allows, I want you to write, what do you need to get over that fear? Do you need information? Do you need to just by dog go do it? Do you need to know that somebody else has done it? Do you need Lorene to help you find the money to make this happen? What is it that you need to get over that fear? So you all are on mute right now, and I'm going to have a couple of you come off mute and talk to me just a little bit, and we'll go back into this just a little bit. But I want to know from somebody what your business is and what scares you. What's something that you circled here this morning? And I told you in the workbook that I would talk about this morning. When I started Canvas Creek, I was so excited about the process that I didn't tell anybody about it because I thought somebody will steal my idea. And man, if you were having coffee with me, you were signing a do not compete form. You know, I was just like, oh my gosh, I got to protect this. And my lawyer very gently said to me, it's your idea. Nobody else wants it. He said, nobody can do what you're doing. It's okay to talk about it. So no, when you talk to us this morning, we're not going to steal your idea, but we're going to help you with what you're scared about. So somebody come on, tell us what you're doing and what scares you. Who's going to be brave and do that? Somebody new that hasn't talked before. Catherine, jump on.
I'll go.
Okay, so we have an orchard here in Helena, and it's berries that are new to the States. So they're called Haskaps. So a lot of people don't know about them. This wasn't our passion. This wasn't it really wasn't even our idea. It was somebody said, hey, why don't we do this? I'll provide the expertise, I'll do the work, and you provide the land, because we had the land, we have the water, we have all of that. Well, about 2 years into it, that went flat bad. I mean, it really went south. And so here we are all of a sudden with this orchard, and it's ours now because it's on our land, it's our water and everything. And what do we do with it? So we're moving forward, but in the meantime, there's no market for it because people don't know what they are. And it's okay that there's no market right now because the plants still have to grow, because they're only what, 8 inches when we get them. So I mean, the whole thing is scary. How do you market something to people when nobody knows what they are? Where do you go? What do you do? And so the whole thing is kind of scary. And so right now, when I said new and refresh, so we're looking at expanding our orchard, because honestly, what I would like to do is make Haskap berries, because they're one of the super fruits, and so they're like 10 or 4 times the antioxidants of blueberries, so they're have a lot of nutritional value. So what I would like to do is make Haskaps the Black Angus of the berry industry, essentially. So Black Angus is the super beef, and so make Haskaps the super fruit, kind of like you hear the acai berry and whatnot, but just not knowing. I mean, I grew up on a cattle ranch. I know nothing about orcharding, and I know nothing about small business or anything else. So our learning curve is huge.
So Catherine, I thank you for telling us all of that. First off, I want some berries. I want to try them because I'm excited about that. And there's a couple of things in there. The first thing is that even though this isn't exactly what you're excited about, you get to find ways to be excited about it. And so when you started talking about the antioxidants and the nutritional value, you lit up. You're like, oh man, I can lean into that. And so when you're in a business you didn't really want to be in, you got to lean into what you're excited about. The next thing you have to do is be brave enough to say what you did this morning, and that is, I don't know what to do. And I'm going to tell you that you want to talk to people like Lorene and Kayla, because they can help you make a business out of this and do it really well. And so I'm going to have Lorene jump on and tell us just a little bit about what you're thinking for Catherine and what you do for people. Lorene, jump on and talk to us.
I guess I'm thinking you need to do a little market research to find out who's going to use those berries. And when your eyes lit up about antioxidant things that it can, you probably need to talk to some health food stores, and they can give you people that might be using them. That's kind of where my mind goes with that. Let's find out who's going to be your user first, so we can know who to target to market them to. And so it does take a little bit of time. Maybe you need to go to different gyms. The people that are working out usually are healthy at gyms, and health food stores, and find out who's going to be using them. Take some, if you've got them, are they growing already? Do you have some that you can take and have people taste them and see how good they are? I mean, that's a big thing that, you know, the reason I like caramels is because somebody gives me one and it's a special caramel and it's like, oh my goodness, that's really good. And the same way with fruit, you know, if we taste it and it's really good and we know it's really good for us and that's what we're into, we can really lean into that. That's where I'd start.
So she's also getting some great ideas in the chat, so be sure to look at that, Catherine. And this whole series is going to help you figure this out. We our third bonus session will be all around food and food marketing, so stick around for those. Lorene, when somebody comes into your office, tell me what you do for them or where they go as a brand new entrepreneur. Like, what other courses are there and things like that?
Okay, so we start out before you can even visit with us. We have you take the startup roadmap, which kind of just gives you a great big overview of here's what we can do for you. Here's what you need to think about. Here's some different ideas. You need to think about who your target market is. You need to think about these different things. The second course is the business model canvas, and that is just a one sheet page of how you can build your business plan really easily. And we do have Kevin Scharf, who is a guy that teaches it, but he does a great job with that. Once you get some of that done, I like to work before you start writing this whole written business plan. You need to see if it's going to work. And so we need to do some financial projections and figure out what's the cost of your product and what are you going to sell it for? And are you going to even make money doing that? And then what are your business expenses? And what is your goal for that year? Your a year-long goal. And then how much can you make every month? And we help you walk through some projections to say, is this business going to make money? Because we have a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas, but if you can't make money with it, how are you going to support yourself? And it might be a great idea, but sometimes we those numbers show that we have this little saying about crushing dreams, and we don't want to crush dreams. We want to grow dreams, but we also want people to be successful. And seeing the numbers helps you be successful and helps you make wise decisions about your business.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, that was excellent. Lorene, is there anything else that you want to talk to this group about while you've got the microphone there?
We do the one-on-one counseling, and I think that's what we're all really good at. But we also do a lot of trainings, and Kayla has been taken over the role of being our training guru, and she's been the one that's been setting them up, as I have other duties that I have to do. And she's just done an excellent job of trying to find out what do people want training on, because if we just do all these trainings and nobody really wants them, just like, does anybody really want your product? They're not going to buy it, right? So if nobody really wants the trainings we have, they're not going to attend them. And so we can see, like today, we have a great training because we've got a lot of gals on here and we've got some great speakers. So when it's Kayla's turn, she can tell us about our whole, we just got a whole series of workshops all year long.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Kayla, it's your turn.
Yes, well, we spent a lot of time thinking, especially with the climate we're in, what are we seeing the businesses need? And we sat down and really thought about it, because we can sit there and we can go, oh, we think they need a business plan workshop, or we think they need this workshop, but really it may not be what you guys need at all. And so we really listened. We reached out to a lot of our clients. We would just talk to people who are on some of our regular workshops and just said, hey, like, what do you want to see more of? What are some of the big things that you're struggling with? So this year we really focused on that. So we have workshops ranging from this Women on the Rise to marketing, to website development, you know, intellectual property, cybersecurity. So we really just sat down and listened to everything that people were thinking about. And so the next like 9 months are packed full of really great workshops that are facilitated by mostly local entrepreneurs, because we also find the value of hearing from somebody that's in your same shoes. So that's why this one was so important to us, is we'd rather have a conversation versus someone talking at you, because we feel like you take a lot more out of it when you're, you know, you're part of it and you're not just sitting there trying to take in all of it. And so we really focused on what you guys were saying and then how we could best facilitate those trainings. So majority of these workshops are facilitated by entrepreneurs on the topics. And so, you know, we have one where a gentleman, he got all of his products on like Amazon and eBay and things like that. And he's going to talk to you guys on how you guys can do that and what's the best way to do that. Because if we brought someone in from, like, let's say Google, they're going to do a great job and they're going to tell you all about Google, but they may not tell you about like some of the struggles or some of the different things, or give you some pointers of like, hey, I actually did this with my products and this was not easy, or like this, they missed a whole step in telling you how to do it. And so, you know, we really tried to focus on those. So we have all of those through listed on our, you know, Big Sky Economic Development website and our rock31.org website for anyone to look at. But feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to say, hey, I actually think these workshops are going to be the best ones for you. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kayla. You guys, the really big thing to know is that when you finally get brave enough to say, I need help, like Catherine, you just got brave and said, I don't really know what I'm doing here. When you finally get brave enough, it's just like stepping off into the universe and saying, this is what I'm doing. You will find the help. There are people out there who have done what you're trying to do, who have overcome the things that you're scared of. So I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And if you want to email me directly and say, this is what I'm scared of, and we didn't get time to talk about it, I'll see if I can help you out with that. So I'll put that in there and feel free to email me about that. I'm going to go back to your goal just a little bit now, and I want you to look at that goal, and you know why you're doing it, and you know who you're doing it for, and you know what it's going to take to do it. And now if you can say yes to that, if you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do, this is what I need to do, this is what I get to do, circle that and say, yes, I am saying yes to this. And then I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. I'm going to ask you to be honest with yourself and know that you get to decide if you are going to actually do that or not. I'm just going to tell you a very brief story. You can read it in both of my books. And that is that you get to decide if you're going to have an excuse for failure or an excuse for success. And I figured this out because I had set a big goal and it was very, very public. Lots of people, like hundreds and thousands of people, knew that I'd set this goal, and then I didn't do anything to move towards it. And I was like, oh man alive, I am going to have a big public failure here. And I have to have an excuse for why I had this failure. And so I wrote on a piece of paper, what's your excuse? And all day long I looked at that and I thought, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And so then I started calling people and selling some product and signed some people up and did what I was supposed to be doing in my business that I hadn't done, and realized that I could have an excuse for success. And my excuse for success was that I worked 5 times harder than I'd ever worked before. Well, at the end of the competition, it was a competition that I set the goal for, I ended up being the second highest point earner out of tens of thousands of women who were trying to achieve that same thing. And I didn't start until, you know, we were almost at the finish line. But it was incredible because I realized that when I had an excuse for success, I worked harder. And when I had an excuse for failure, because it was an easy excuse, like, oh, my daughter's a senior and I wanted to spend time with her, I still spent time with her, but that excuse would have worked just fine. So you get to decide if you are going to be a success or if you're going to be a failure. And if you're going to be a success, you're going to ask for help, and we are going to help you to find that. That's why we're doing this series. So I want you to be a success. That's why we're doing this. We're going to hear one more thing from Robin, just kind of her little wrap up thoughts here. And then we're going to transition over into the bonus section where we're going to talk with Chris about having a retail business. So talk to us, Robin. What are you thinking at this point in this call? What do you want everybody here to know?
I do want to say one more thing to Catherine about the berries. I'm thinking about what's our local one down here downtown, the farm to table type restaurants. You know, get in with, talk to those kind of people who are locally owned but are trying to focus more on farm to table. I think you have a pretty good opportunity in Montana. We have a lot of people here who are pretty serious about eating healthy, and that's kind of a trend right now. Yeah, and that berry bowl, that Jen, that's a good one too. So there are local places who are trying to support local farms. So you kind of have a good shoe in. And it was fun to see you get excited about, you know, oh, they're healthy and the antioxidant and stuff. And when you were talking, it piqued my curiosity. I was like, oh, I want to try this. And I am thinking more about getting healthy. So yeah, awesome job, Catherine. You're going to rock it, I know. And then one other thing you mentioned, Karen, that kind of struck me was the fear. And earlier on, you had said fear both ways. There's fear of failure, but there's also a little bit of fear of success. And there was a moment when I was so busy this past year, this past 4 months, I was so busy. I was doing some 18-hour days. I had not had a day off since before New Year, the day before New Year's, since July 15th. It is 7 days a week, morning till night. And it's like, do I want to work this hard? You know, there's a little bit of a fear of success. How much of my life am I willing to give up? What if, and the public failure that goes along with success. Once people know your name and know who you are, and if you're an artist or you're putting yourself out there, you won't be everybody's favorite. And you are going to fail. If you're not failing, though, you're not trying. You know, failure is part of trying, and it's part of success. That's what makes us kind of go forward. So don't be afraid to succeed. That's what I want to tell people. Like, you are going to fail. You are going to hit speed bumps along the way. It just is what happens. But if you're not hitting speed bumps, you're not driving forward. So I just want to encourage everybody to just don't give up, and like you said, take the leap. You know, you have to jump off, and sometimes it is super scary. Like, this was so scary. I'm more in debt than I ever was, even when I was married, you know, and I took on a huge responsibility. Before I signed the papers, I went to my husband, who, you know, we're still married at the time, and I said, look, this is what's happening to my life. I know this is fast, and I need to know you're serious, because I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to choose me. I'm going to move forward. And there's a fork in the road right now. And you need to tell me, you know, do you really, really want to be a part? And he said, yeah, do it. And I'm so glad I did. I was so afraid. I consulted everyone I knew. Should I do this? Am I making a mistake? And now I'm so happy. I have never been so satisfied and content in my life than what the business has given to me. So what I've given to myself, you know, through taking those risks, and even being here today. My goal is to, I want to make $7,000 a month. That's what it would take to meet all my bills, put some money in savings, and put a little bit in retirement, and have a little vacation fund. And so that's my goal. And another goal I have is to talk to women. You know, maybe that looks like publishing a book or being a speaker, or somehow I want to encourage other women, because I feel like I have a story inside me, and now it's important to share that and tell that and encourage other people. And someday you'll be in that space too. You will have conquered something and achieved something, and your story is going to be a legacy. And so just just want to encourage people to not give up.
Oh my gosh, Robin, I could not have said it better myself. That is absolutely wonderful. And I am so proud of you for chasing your next and not giving up. I know there's been hard days, and I love seeing the success that's rolling into your life. So thank you for talking.
Can I share one more thing about that? You know, taking the Bible seriously, I thought getting divorced, I was sinning. So I stayed there, you know, and I tried to make it work, and I just did not want to do this big sin. I had a lot of conservative friends that told me I would totally go to hell if I got divorced. So I was really scared. And I asked my closest friend, I said, is this right or wrong? Is this right or wrong? And she said, Robin, it's not what's right or wrong, it's what's next. And that just struck me. And I was like, how? Okay, well, I guess, you know, it's true. He doesn't want to be married. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm certainly not going to beg somebody to want me in their presence, you know? And it was only 2 weeks after that I went to a networking thing at Bitterroot, Sip and Paint. And Karen was there, and we had a chance to introduce ourselves. And I'm sure I sounded like a babbling idiot back at that time. And she's like, you need this. And she hands me a copy of her book. And the book is called What's Next? And it was like lightning bolts, you know, the universe telling you, this is your next, this is what's next. And I read it twice in a row because it was just so relevant and so encouraging. And it might, you know, maybe it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just what's next. And you just keep moving forward. You know, that's why your rear view mirror is small and your windshield is big. You just move forward. So good job, everybody, for you know, pursuing your dream, having a dream, going for it. My password on my computer is go big or go home. Just go for it.
Oh my gosh, Robin. Thank you for telling us that. And I see somebody said that gave me goosebumps. It actually, yeah, it gave me goosebumps too. I love hearing that story, and that we had a serendipity moment where my words could help you move forward. That means the world to me. So you guys, we're just going to take just a little 2-second move around here. Stand up, wiggle a little bit, you know, do a little dance, roll around in your chair so that we can move into the next section where we're going to talk about retail businesses. And this is just a little snippet or a little look into what it looks like to have retail businesses. Lorraine has had one, Kayla has been in a partnership, and we're really going to dig into what Chris has to say to us. So take a sip of water, do like Gina, roll your neck around a little bit, just get comfortable as we move into this next section. So we're just going to start right with you, Chris. We know who you are and what you're doing, but tell us what it's like to be in the retail business, and what are a couple of tips for people who are doing that? How can they be successful?
Well, I think, you know, a lot of it is just do your homework. I love what Lorraine said about, you know, really find out if it's a viable business, because there are a lot of great ideas, and, you know, your heart is always really connected with it. I think with my first business, the biggest learning lesson I had was really going through the cash flow analysis and all those things that are absolutely nothing like what we started a business to do. Nobody says, geez, I want to, you know, be an accountant. But what I really learned is without that information, you can't be as successful as you can be. And it continues to show up in many, many ways where, like, when you're buying product, you have to have an open to buy and figure out where you're spending your money very logically, or you won't be successful. But I think that's one thing Big Sky Economic Development is a killer for, and I will definitely put a plug in. You know, use the resources and do the work, because that's an area that, frankly, wasn't my favorite, wasn't what I wanted to do, but it's turned out, as I've embraced it, to be, you know, really, really important. I agree with Robin. You know, it's kind of like, I just say you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes they're really expensive mistakes, and it can be really painful when it's really hard to see yourself lose money, especially when it's got lots of zeros behind it, by making mistakes. But they help you redefine what you're doing if you pay attention to them. And so I would say just going to make them, so don't think you're not. And sometimes I see people don't make decisions and don't move because they're so afraid of making a mistake that they kind of shortchange what their business could be by staying just too stagnant. I mean, you got to take some risks. And the other bit is everything's going to change. You know, a business isn't going to be the same thing forever. And some businesses aren't meant to last forever. And I think that's another myth that, you know, I kind of bought into a long time ago, that really you might do a business and you might love it for 5 years, and it's okay to move on to something else, or to have it be a business that could be for a small period of time. Say if you got small kids, there's a certain business that might make sense and you might decide on a different business later. You know, don't get hung up if, you know, that's what you want, because it's really kind of fun when you give yourself the freedom. But I just feel like, you know, keep learning, no matter what it is. I'm really a proponent of hire coaches. If you need help with things, hire coaches, whether, you know, if you can't afford to pay for one, there's resources like the classes and things you can take. But, you know, we've been working with a coach. The last conference I went to before the pandemic hit, I went to a great business class that was actually geared more towards my other business. I also own a spa and salon that we've had for 22 years now, but everything's different. Everything's changed. So we went to this great class and ended up hiring a coach out of that company that we meet with monthly. And it's sometimes you need that person to give you the pressure to just keep stretching and growing and learning and doing your cash flow analysis and your stuff that you need to do to make really great choices. You know, information is everything. Education is everything. Don't just do the same old thing. So that's kind of something that I've really learned. I work with my daughter-in-law. She helped me open the Joy of Living, and her and another dear employee, Linda Dagenhart, who does all of our display things, kind of combined, and we sort of used each other's creative juices and flows, and it's been really fun. But one of the things I loved about a retail business was getting to go to market. You know, that was the other side effect of it. It was, you know, I have this business, but the way the business rewarded me, I love to travel. I love to go different places, and I love great food. So to be able to travel and work really hard all day, go out for a great dinner, that was part of what I loved about the business and the people I met. So this last year has been torture, not going anywhere. You know, we'd go to New York twice a year. We also went to Vegas to do our buying. And so to have to shift and pivot and go, okay, now I've got to figure out a different way to do it, has really been interesting. At first I fought it, but I've grown to kind of know that it's given me a different kind of a discipline. So, you know, you can do different things and come out with great results too, even in pandemic when you didn't want to. I mean, the last year of business, frankly, hasn't been a hell of a lot of fun. Dealing with having to find out about filing for PPP grants and the CARES Act and all of those things. I spent so much time not working on my business, trying to figure out how to save my business when we got closed. And we did make a decision this year. We had a store downtown in Billings too. We had 2 Joy of Livings, and we closed the downtown one. For multiple reasons. We'd been down there for about 4 years, and it had gotten to the point where, you know, the sales were never as great there, and we didn't expect it. It was kind of more an investment in the community, is why I really wanted to go downtown. I love downtowns, and I think Billings has huge potential. However, with multiple businesses during this time, it was a lot of work, and I just made a choice that I wanted to have some different things, and I just decided to go deeper with one store. So have a great landlord. He said he would let us out of our lease, which was a huge blessing. If he hadn't done that, we probably would have done something else. And we just decided to bring it all we're all in one building on the west end. My daughter-in-law and son also own the coffee shop next to us. So we kind of have this family compound of sorts that we all work together. But it was a very difficult choice, because what you feel is your ego gets hit. You feel a sense of failure, of, you know, just regret. It was a beautiful space. I mean, just everything it had going. And after I did it, I knew it was the right decision, because I felt like I'd taken off a backpack of rocks. you know, just the worry of how to manage and maintain and keep moving forward. So for me, that was, you know, kind of looking at, was it a failure? No, it was great. It was great involvement, but things were just different, and you have to kind of accept those things. So what's next though is we're kind of rethinking our West End store, what I want the mix to be. You know, there's just so many possibilities, but I'm kind of a hands-on girl. You know, I grew up in Billings, didn't grow up with, you know, a lot. We had, you know, limited means. We'd wait for dad to get paid to get milk, you know, it was that kind of a life. So I grew up knowing how to make stuff up because you just did. And that was a gift, because as I did a store, I realized now a lot of times you can get hung up on, got to have the best fixtures, got to have this, got to have that. And I'm just here to tell you, no, you just have to have some creativity. You can do a lot with little. There's a lot of places where things don't matter. And I would say, if it doesn't matter to the customer, it doesn't matter. So really pay attention to what they care about. And people typically don't come in and say, oh my gosh, you know, they're looking at the store. They're looking at the way they feel. They're looking at what's happening for them. So if you can really go down that path, you don't have to always throw money at it. So, you know, if finances are a challenge, you know, pull back on some of that stuff.
I'm going to ask you to go into that just a little bit more. Say it again. You said, if it doesn't matter to the customer, it doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't. You know, I learned in my spa, you know, all you have to do is turn down the lights, have something smell good and a great sound. And a dumb room is a spa room. You know, it's like you turn on the lights and it looks like a dumb room with a bunch of stuff in it. So it's like, just turn it down, make it good. It's like you can create that feeling. So it's like, you know, whatever it is you're doing, it's just making it more delicious, more exciting, more fun to be a part of. Yeah, I mean, we used crates to do our store. We painted wood crates. And Linda and I were just in the store yesterday resetting a bunch of it because I wanted to, I pulled down a whole wall fixture, unscrewed it with my drill and took the whole thing and we moved it. We were on ladders and we're like, woo, we're women, we can do this. This is amazing. I mean, I like to do that kind of stuff in my store. I like to touch my stuff. I like to know, why did I get this? Sometimes I look at stuff and go, why the hell did I get this? And nobody wants it but me. So, you know, you learn, but we were reworking part of the store and it was so much fun to look at it and just go, and I said, we need to bring something here. And I said, let's go back and get these crates back out that we were thinking I was like, no, they work. I love them. That's my thing. So I like to reuse things. I like that part of business, but people don't care about that. The other thing is pay attention to what they buy. When you do get customers, the first year I was so hung up on what I thought was cool and what I thought we should have. And then you have to get really sensitive and pay attention to, what do people buy and what do they want? We had an item in the store yesterday where I saw 3 people pick up the same item and they looked at it and they looked at the price. And it's a really great piece, but the price was a turnoff. And I kept saying, what is it about this price? And so we kind of looked at it and I said, you know what, right now, I'm going to, you know, mark this down because it's going to be sitting here. There's something about this price, but just paying attention to your customers, also knowing when you can get something in, you know, I have a great way of resourcing things that you can get a higher markup on so that there you make your profit, but it's just pay attention to the people.
Chris, that's such a great point. We're going to have Lorene talk in a couple minutes, but I want you to talk about profit. It's not bad to make money, right? Because sometimes we think, oh, we have to put the price way down. We'll have a whole segment on this, but tell me about pricing in retail.
Yeah, pricing is interesting because I've learned a lot about kind of what my kind of store is and what the profit bit can be for it. Hey, money's nice. Money gives us life. And so just like your goal of what you want to make, you know, we all have to have a money goal that's going to give us the life we want. I find it varies from time to time and what I want and what I need. And I like to work really hard and then I like to go and do things. So I'll kill it and then I go. But the business is what allows me to do that. It's a choice. But I think profit, you know, you've got to do the cash flow, and there has to be money left over at the end, or you just have a really expensive hobby. You know, frankly, it's just know it for what it is. Some things should stay in the realm of hobby, and some things, if you can't make a profit, like, I mean, that's what Lorraine said, and I really believe it's so true. Just don't do it. It's hard enough work, but plan a profit, figure out how to get there, you know, give yourself, and you've got to have extra, because you've got to have money to reinvest back in to your business to keep it growing and keep yourself being able to do new things. So
I love that you said that. When I was trying to refurbish a retail business that I owned, my accountant said, you can keep charging people what you're charging and you'll never be able to sell this business because it's a hobby and you're not making money. Or you could up your prices and you could make money and somebody will want to buy it because they can make money. And that absolutely was true. I upped my prices, I felt better, customers felt better, and I was able to sell the business.
And that's so true too, because you do have to, I also say, run an impeccable business. You know, don't be sloppy with your bookkeeping. It'll kick you in the butt. You know, hire people to do what you don't know how to do. You know, bookkeeping is so important. The first year of my first business, I had to redo the entire bookkeeping because I had a friend do my books that wasn't a bookkeeper. I thought it would be fine. Oh Lord, what a mess. So just try to get started with what you need, understand your leases, understand your stuff, and get help if you don't understand those things. That's what, you know, Big Sky Economic Development can help you with. But it's really, yeah, I always say, you know, people will say, oh, I want to sell my business. And then they'll tell me about, yeah, but I don't pay myself and I don't this and I don't that. I'm like, you don't have anything to sell. There's nothing to sell. You know, you have to have profit. Nobody's going to buy your business if you don't show profit. So plan it with that in mind. It's okay.
So true and so beautiful. And thank you for saying that. And you gave us a great segue to next month or next week, which is when you say sign here, I smell trouble. And we're going to talk about, you know, keeping your books in order and lawyers and things like that. So Chris, keep sticking around. People will have questions for you in a minute. But Lorraine, what do you want to talk to us about retail? You have an experience with that. Tell us what you're thinking.
Yeah, I had a retail a clothing store for 16 years and I loved it. But I agree with Chris. You have to buy, like, I couldn't buy the clothes that, I mean, I could buy some clothes that I liked, but I had to buy clothes that my customers liked. Because if you just buy what you like, different people have different body shapes, they have different likes, they wear different colors. And so you cannot just be buying for yourself in any business. You have to know your customer and what they're going to buy. The other thing, when she was talking about this piece that wasn't selling and people looked at it, you have to be willing to mark things down and get rid of them, because you can be overloaded with inventory and have no cash. And so if there's certain things that aren't selling, mark them down, get rid of them, and get some cash in so you can buy some new things that people will like. And sometimes that means selling it at cost, but at least you're getting your money back out of it. There are times that you have to sell it below cost just to get it out of there because nobody likes it. And by that time, you don't like it either. It just needs to be gone. Those are a couple of things.
Lorraine, can I tell you a funny story about that? When I was in retail, people would say, well, what do you think is the best color? And I'd look on the shelf and say, well, I have 22 blue, so that's the best color.
Oh, yeah.
But all of a sudden it was the best. And they'd buy it because I'd say, that's the best color.
That's the other thing is when you said you were moving stuff around in your store, I loved doing that. I mean, I loved having my business because there was so much variety. You could, you know, you could do your displays and you got to go to market and you could sell it. But the thing that is, things need to move around continually because sometimes people go the same direction and they see the same thing. And if you move things around in your store and put it together with different things, all of a sudden people will come in and they'll say, oh my goodness, you just got a new shipment. And you'll say, well, yeah, I did. I mean, because you did get a new shipment, but they're looking at the old stuff that's been rearranged. And so now it looks new and different to them. And so it's really important to do some moving around of your store in a retail store. And it's good to do, in clothing, I would layer things up because you want to have multiple sales. Because if somebody comes in and they buy one thing, that's good. But if they buy 3 things, that's even better. And I also had some of my friends say, oh, you always think you need to make money. Well, if you're in business, you need to make money. And that's the biggest problem women have. They don't think they need to make money. And if you want that store to run, you have to make money. If you want to sell it, it has to show on your tax returns that you've made a profit. That's the only way that a bank is going to borrow the next person money to buy it. That's on my soapbox that I can get on.
Well, I'm hoping everybody wrote that down, that you need to make money. I mean, both of these women have really hit that for you. You need to make money. There's nothing wrong with making money. It's how you get to give to the world. And people make money so they can spend money. So if you have a retail business, let them spend money with you. It is absolutely okay. You guys, I want to give you a minute to ask questions of these women, and Kayla will pop in with answers if she's got one, but ask questions. What are you thinking right now? And remember, you can ask anything. It's just recorded. Don't worry about it. Who has a question? And it can be about anything we've talked about this morning. Remember, we want this to be a conversation.
I'll pop back in while nobody's talking. When Chris was saying she had to close a store, I ended up closing my store. And it was a business decision on my part. And I know on Chris's, it was a business decision also. And so I've had women come into me in tears, and they're like, I have to close my store, and I just feel so bad about it. And I have just said to them, you are not a failure. If you close your business, you have to make a business decision. And sometimes that is the best decision you could make to close your store. That does not mean you're a failure. It just means that you've seen what needs to happen and you need to close it so you can move on to the next chapter of your life.
You absolutely do. It's hard to make those decisions.
Very hard.
Jenny, you have a question.
Yeah, for Chris and for Lorraine, what were your guys' largest fears when you were starting your retail businesses and your spa business, Chris? Like, what were your roadblocks?
Yeah, I think at the beginning, I was naive enough to not really know what to be afraid of. You know, I'm just like a little passion bug. I love to start businesses. If I could do that every year, I'd just start a new business. Somebody else would have to run them and carry them through. But I think for me, it was once I discovered the stuff you needed to know that I didn't know you needed to know, like the state regulations. I mean, I made every mistake you could make. The first year of business, I cried literally every day. I cried every day. I was so overwhelmed. I didn't understand, like, I mean, it was like labor board things. It was like things that I did, you learn how to fix your mistakes, but there was so much that I really didn't know that you had to do. And even now, sometimes I get these emails, and I'm like, what license do I have? What thing? What's this? What does this mean? How do I get in that portal? It's all this stuff that I'm like, I don't want to do that crap. And, trying to filter through the things I don't like. I think that was my toughest part, is really just navigating the things you have to be a legit business owner, and I decided to run my business as really transparent, have had a lot of, even just challenges around, like we take tips at the spa and report those or report all of those. And that's not a typical thing done in the industry, I found later. So it's impacted, retaining employees. That's another thing, is if you need employees, how do you, number one, in retail, it's like, how do you afford what you need and get great employees? But it's possible. A lot of people just love being part of something, and it isn't about major money. And we have had to adapt, and we hire high school girls and women that just want to work a little bit. And we just really try to be super flexible and really mesh how they want to work together. And that's kind of worked in our business for us. But I think it's just, for me, it was probably more the legal kind of business aspects that were tough.
Thank you.
Lorraine hit on that. Anything for you? Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, what was that question again? So I can, because I was just into what Chris was saying.
I know. I think for me, it was just the question of what were your biggest roadblocks when you were starting? You said you had a retail business for 16 years.
Oh, money, getting money to buy it.
Yeah.
I talked my husband into mortgaging our house to buy the business. Yeah. So
What business was it, Lorraine?
what?
What business was it?
It was up in Northeast Montana. It was when I bought it, it was a franchise. It was Fashion Crossroads. It was a women's franchise.
Was it in
And-
Plentywood?
Am I what?
Was it in Plentywood?
No, it wasn't in Plentywood. It was in Wolf Point.
Oh, okay.
That is great. Lorraine, if you can have a business in Wolf Point, you can have a business anywhere. So
You can, yes. And I just tried to make it, you know, the fun place for people to come and to be an enjoyable place, to smell good, to feel good there.
Thank you.
you guys, I would love to keep this conversation going for hours, but I know that you have things you need to do, like make money would be a really good one. I want to give a special shout out to Robin and Chris for being here this morning and sharing your knowledge and your passion with these women. You both are incredible gifts to our community. And if you have not looked at the chat, look at that really quickly, because people have just loved on you both over there. Thank you for being here this morning, and thank you for all that you do. Kayla and Lorraine, exactly the same thing to you. Thank you for your wisdom. And I know you're going to be back with us through this whole series, passing on your wisdom and your knowledge to these people. So thank you very much for that. All of you, if you need help, send me an email, drop Kayla an email. We will figure out how to help you have a successful business. That's why we're doing this series. I appreciate you being part of this, and that you are a woman on the rise. You deserve your business, you deserve to make money, and you deserve to be the very best you that that business can help you to become. So go out and be that person. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you, Karen.
Yeah.
You are welcome.